Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to round number 6, the season finale of the eRacr Roval Racing Series, live tonight from the Homestead-Miami Speedway. I'm Blake McCandless. I'll be alongside Sean Butler and Josh Mendoza. Once again, welcome you into the finale of this series that has provided so much entertainment over the last 6 Saturday nights. But without further ado, let's go ahead and skip ahead into exactly what these drivers will be facing in this very unique course.
Well, everyone, the season finale of the 2021 eRacr Roval Racing Series is upon us, live from the virtual Homestead-Miami Speedway road course. Now, this track is a very interesting one. It's got a lot of quick corners. It's got a lot of very slow speed corners and got a lot of places where there's not a lot of grip on this racetrack. So it's going to be interesting to see how these drivers fare throughout the race tonight. Now, Josh Mendoza and I were just, we're doing our normal, pre-race stuff. We're just walking the track. And for some reason, he left the engine running in the old number 77 eRacr Roval Racing Series Toyota Camry. So while he was out running an errand or doing whatever he was doing, I took it upon myself to see what our drivers are going to be up against tonight. And I took a few laps around the speedway here to see what these guys are going up against. So we had the cameras rolling while we're in the car, so why don't we go ahead and see what these guys are going to be going up against as we take a lap around the Homestead-Miami Speedway road course. All right, as we make our way off of turn 4 on the oval, car gets pretty light there off the exit. Cross the line, brake really hard at those 3 cones on the wall there. Look at the smoke coming off of the left front tire. As we make our way into turn 2 here, hit the curb, light on the throttle, hard on the brakes into turn number 3, down to first. Want to hug this curb, stay as far to the left as we can into turn number 4. Maybe got a little too much curb in there. Want to stay a little further off of that. Off the corner through turn 5, that small left-hander right there. Down our first of 2 straightaways in the infield portion. Hard on the brakes into turn 6, down to first. Want to get the curb a little bit there. Now, this is where the car gets the lightest. Watch my throttle inputs here through turn 7. Barely halfway through the throttle there, it gets so light at that portion of the track. Grip is going to be imperative. Hard on the brakes into this hairpin, which is turn number 8. Now you want to almost get a late entry into the corner so you can get a straighter exit off so you have the most speed down the back straightaway on the track here. This doesn't count as a turn for some reason, I don't know why. But into turn number 9 here, this is your regular NASCAR 3 and 4. Now, be aware of how certain guys enter this corner. You could see a lot of guys take a bigger arc like I did there, or you could see them drive it straight in to get that grip there. But off the corner, let it float out to the wall, and you've just completed a lap around Homestead-Miami Speedway road course.
And going to be an interesting one tonight as we take a look at the point standings in this series. Again, last opportunity for many of these drivers to try and make up ground. And, well, Josh, Sean, you look at a couple of these classes, some of them either close to or already being determined. And, of course, if you look at the A-class standings, we will be able to crown a champion who has locked himself in. You can see on your screen, that is Matt Danson. And actually, just before we get going to the green flag, we'll go ahead and see if we can't catch up with Matt Danson just before we drop the green tonight. A little bit of different circumstance for you, Matt, tonight. Not really having to worry about a whole lot, but how does it feel to say that you are the first ever league champion here at eRacr?
Feels awesome. Yeah, wow, what an honor. It's been a fun season, to be honest. A lot of tracks that I'd not driven on, not seen before, and a lot of tracks that I actually, after having driven in this, would definitely enjoy going back to a second time. But I mean, yeah, wow, it's very very good.
Very good indeed. And of course, talking about Logitech Altus Esports, it's not just been you. A lot of your team that has made their track out here has been very competitive. You guys have had a lot of great battles. I can remember Indianapolis being one. So how good is it to kind of represent that whole bunch and kind of carry the banner for them out here?
Yeah, I mean, that's massive. Like obviously Altus have the footprint in every every license category. Essentially, we got a world champion in dirt. We've got the DWC participant on the rallycross side, and just only a couple of hours ago, we had a 1-2 actually. Our boys Cooper and Jordan in the sort of PESC equivalent of Road to Pro top splits. So that was massive. So it's cool to, I guess, fulfill my end of the bargain to some degree on this side as well. Obviously, we've got a bunch of elite guys over here as well. So yeah, just it's good to get my name up there for something. And keep flying that flag, like you said.
Well, again, we'll let you get back after it. Of course, you still have a race and a checkered flag to chase tonight, so we'll let you get to it. Good luck tonight, Matt.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, that is your A-class champion as soon as he takes the drop of the green flag tonight, Matt Danson. And, as these cars are sitting on the grid, just about ready to roll off here at Homestead-Miami, let's go ahead and take a look at the keys to the race. And, Sean, I'll start with you. A lot of the same talking points that we've gone over time and time again in this series seems to rear their ugly head.
Don't want to sound like a broken record at all, but I mean, they are a key in these, hence why they're the keys to the race. But throttle control, again, in parentheses there, a lot of slow speed corners leading into straightaways at this racetrack, as you saw in the video. So it's going to be very imperative these guys focus on their rear tire grip and making sure they get as much speed as possible onto the straights on this track. And as we see, they're taking care of the brakes. I know it sounds kind of cliche in iRacing, but there are a lot of lockup points on this racetrack. So you really have to be mindful of where you brake, how much you brake, and how much, if any, lockups you're going to have in this, because 9 times out of 10 you might lock up in these corners. So it's very, very important. Rear grip, as I said before, very imperative you keep the rear tires on these cars or trucks, depending on what you're driving. So very important that you keep those on to keep your speed up. And 90 minutes, not 60. So when do you pit? That's going to be one of the big questions here in this race. So do you pit often? Do you try to stretch the run out? We're going to find out with these guys to see what they can do to get the run in and get the win. But Blake, different challenges with this longer race for sure, and I'm excited to kind of witness it, and we'll see what happens.
I know that's of particular interest to you, Josh. 90 instead of a 60-minute race. Do you pit before that midway break? Do you try to make it all the way? Not sure if you can make it quite there on fuel. It's hard to gauge fuel mileage at a track that many of us just aren't familiar with. So going to be really interesting to see what they can do there. But we are ready to roll off, ladies and gentlemen. Round number 6, the final edition of the eRacr Roval Racing Series, at least as far as this year is concerned, is going to look like this from the starting grid. It'll be Vicente Salas taking the quick time tonight, 1:17, the only driver that is able to get down into the 77-second bracket. He will start alongside your A-class champion in Matt Danson. Third
Cody.
will...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. Cody Harris will start third in A-class, followed by Christian Peterson. Actually, they're kind of switching up on me here. Second will go to Danson. Third to Cody Harris. Fourth, John Wheatendorf. Fifth will be Christian Peterson. Sixth to Lucas Cram. Seventh, Tyler Gary. And that will round out the A-class. We'll go ahead and let you do the B-class, Josh.
Yeah, so the B-class is going to be Matt Taylor, and then Cade McGee, Brian Sabelski, and Joseph Selby, Justin Malillo, Harry Grindell, Arthur Reimer, and then the Ballistic Pack C-Class. Over to you, Sean.
Over to the Ballistic Pack C-Class we go. Hunter Reeve is your pole sitter in the 044. Riley Dunn alongside him. Points leader David Grantham will roll off in third. Chris Colon will roll off in fourth. Dustin Ping in the 1 truck will be fifth. DG Swiss sixth. Jeremy Bro in the 74 will roll off in 7th. Tyler Stillwell in 8th. And rounding out the field for the I can't talk today for the Ballista Pack C-Class, Brandon Watkins in the 22 will roll off in the 9th position, Blake.
Indeed, that will be the case. You take a look at the conditions today. It has been the theme time and time again in this series. Hot, slick racetracks as we get late in the summer. And look at that. We haven't even taken the green flag yet. 92 degrees, 127 track temperature. I mean, that is just unbelievable considering the fact that we're not even in race conditions yet, guys. We haven't gotten this track heated up. It's a cold racetrack right now. So I cannot imagine it just went up another degree to 128. So this is going to be, I think we have to re-emphasize, Josh, perhaps that key to the race of throttle control. Rear grip is going to be just nowhere to be found out here for these guys. And it's 90 minutes this time instead of an hour.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're going to have throttle control, which if you're good and you're not super heavy on the throttle, you're going to help yourself in the long run because fuel strategy is also going to become a thing in this race. pit road closes at 42 minutes as opposed to the regular 27. And if you get caught out between that awkward place of the 42 minutes and when under pacing we get the pit road open and you run out of fuel, you got to take that penalty. And it is not a nice penalty. It's going to be a hold for, I believe, a significant amount of time for entering a closed pit. What have you. You just don't want to do it. It's a bad situation as we see the safety car about to pull off.
As you can see, the class is separating once again. They do that on their own here. The A class will get us rolling off here. Again, the champion of that one has already been determined, but Vicente Salas has him a pair of wins. He'll try to add another one to it as the green flag is out, and we are racing here at Homestead-Miami.
Salas clears Matt Danson going into turn number 1 as they're still side by side. Got some trouble back there. I believe that's Lucas Cram in the 44. Got very loose. He's able to save it. And they're all bunching up to each other through turn 3 now, side by side. It looks like it's going to be between John Wietendorf or Christian Peterson. Peterson's going to get the spot in a 4th. And they're still single file, but the Blister Pack C class starting to catch up to the B class as they make their way down the backstretch.
Be interesting to see again, time and time through in this series, we have seen that B class and that C class nose to tail in terms of pace. Some B class drivers will outrun some of the trucks that are on pace, so it is just really interesting to see the kind of back and forth we've seen with that class all season long. Really no surprise though, the Cup cards continue to really make some ground over these Xfinity machines, and perhaps not so much Cade McGee catching up to the very back of the A class. That is Lucas Cram, but Cade McGee, wonderful pace out of him. He's trying to chase down some of the higher horsepower machines here, but this is where it's going to make that difference here on the oval section here at Homestead-Miami.
And, you know, as we took the green flag there, one of the championships was determined. It looks like David Grantham in the 6 for the Ballistic Pack C class is now going to be the C class champion because Brandon Panetta, his closest rival, is not on track. And the next closest is 26 points behind, and the best that they can do going everything perfect today would be tying him for the points, and it would go to a tiebreaker. He would be 3rd on the tiebreaker. That's the 6 of David Grantham. So we'll catch up with him during the break and see what he's feeling being another champion for the series. So that leaves the B class championship between Matt Taylor and Brian Sabelski, which are 2nd and 5th in their class respectively.
Well, and again, a lot of these drivers, a championship may be determined, but there's still a fair amount of points positions left on the line. I know that's something we don't often talk about nowadays because everything's about playoffs and Game 7 moments, being able to show up at the end and perform under pressure when you kind of have a winner-take-all scenario. But many of these drivers kind of know their place, and they want to battle for every spot available in these standings. But while we roll along here, through lap number 2, let's go ahead and bring in the 4th member of our broadcast crew tonight in Justin Prince. He had a fair amount of information on a lot of these guys and what kind of their thoughts were, especially with a long practice session before we got the drop of the green flag. What were you hearing down there on pit road, JP?
Some of the drivers were actually looking forward to the opportunity, such as Vicente Salas, to be able to get some additional track time to make sure they can get their feelings and this track dialed on in for this race. But for some of the drivers like Grantham, discussed a little bit about that championship fight before the race, where he had mentioned where he was looking to build off last week's momentum and try and win the race still. He wanted to be in control of the race here at Homestead, and right now he's in a decent spot for his respective class as drivers behind him have problems.
Some issues there for a couple of drivers. Already see one pulling down on pit road. Tyler Stillwell in the 36 truck has already pulled it off, and you can see right there a spin further on back, taking a spill. And again, these conditions just have to be so difficult for these drivers. They know this is going to be a long race of endurance, as you see Christopher Collin right there. Oh, big lockup as he headed through into the infield section. That's turn 2, a very tricky one with that sand trap at the back of it. But really tough sledding there for the 99.
Oh, we just got a contact here, 22 in the 1 over here, just as we're about to enter that, facing the wrong way, really wrong way. He'll get that flipped around going, but hey, no cautions, just local cautions. Still get that going. As you see the replay right here, pretty easy going in. Nope, from behind. Just a little punt from the one car. No harm, no foul.
not easy going in for Dustin Ping, as he was about 3 truck lengths back. And again, that wasn't something where he was even trying to make a move. He locks up, and honestly, Watkins kind of missed the corner there as well. I think Ping in reaction just kind of locked up, and you see the end result right there. Watkins slowed up a ton. He was missing the corner a little bit, and Ping, I think in desperation, just kind of hit the brake. And, well, guess what? When you lock up, you can't really turn the truck to try to get around the corner. So early trouble, especially back here in the Ballista Pack C class, a couple of issues for some of our trucks early on in the going.
So we don't just make stuff up when we do our keys to the race. You know, they're based off of experiences. We have another one off. That's the 49 of Arthur Reimer in the B class. There he is. He just got a little bit of a late on the brakes here going into, I believe, turn number 6 back here. So again, as we were saying, brakes are going to be a big part of this race, guys. So really dependent on how early and how late you brake is going to be a big key to if you're going to have a quick lap and make up some time, or make a mistake and slide off and lose a bunch, as we've already seen with a couple of drivers here so far.
Well, how about Riley Dunn, who has really done a good job of that? He spun early on. He's already running right now in second place in the Ballista Pack C class. So I think perhaps this race more than any other is going to come down to mistakes, which again is really interesting. You think about a lot of the racetracks that we visited and the familiarity with certain configurations at different tracks. I feel like this is one of the more familiar road courses for some of these drivers. When we talk about road courses and ovals, this is one that on the surface tends to be a little more popular for its simplicity, and just, you know, there's a lot of long straightaways, incorporates the oval well. So I feel like perhaps more than any other, this track is more familiar to a lot of drivers than perhaps a New Hampshire or a Texas like we saw at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, it's Homestead. This is where championships are determined. They've been here for so long in the Cup Series, the Xfinity, the Truck Series. Championships are determined. That's no different here. And we're going to determine 3 of those. Well, actually, now 1 of those at this point here at Homestead. This is an exciting course. I love this course. Been here, raced it a ton of times. It's a great course.
It's a really fun one. As you take a look at the battle for third in the A class, that is Cody Harris right now, holding off Christian Peterson. And man, Harris, we saw him a couple of times in practice get a little loose. You already see him leaving some tire tracks behind the 95 as he'll slide on up. They're now entering the infield section. That's turn 3. Now the right-hander through turn 4. Peterson able to get away and chase down his Logitech Altus Esports teammate, and Harris going to lose another spot here. John Whitendorf around the outside. Not going to have the inside position here through turn 6. Let's see. They drag race down. Harris on the bottom. Whitendorf to driver's left. Oh, this is a really interesting one right here. If Whitendorf can hold him off, I think he'll have the preferred spot heading into turn 8.
And turn 7, right where they just went through, is probably the slipperiest part on the track. So these guys going side by side there, it's hard enough to go by there by yourself. I can't imagine how tough it is to go side by side, but these guys make it work. Lucas Cram is going to be the 3rd car in this battle, that 44 Valvoline machine right there. So he's made his presence felt in this one. But I kind of want to go back to our B class here. Harry Grindell in the 70 car has taken the lead in there. Cade McKee is to 2nd. Matt Taylor is 3rd. So Matt Taylor in that 8 car is your points leader just behind them. So he could lock up the title here. But Blake, it looks like he has a little bit of front end damage. I'm going to take a look and see what caused that, but not damage you want to be getting early. It looks like he had an incident going into turn 4, I believe, earlier on.
Well, Sean, context clues would tell you Taylor has front-end damage and Cade McKee has a ton of rear-end damage. So I think if you could put 2 and 2 together, I think McKee and Taylor had it coming together. And actually, yes, we're getting a good look at it right there. Heavy braking zone into turn 6. And you see McKee just just got run over right there. I don't know if Taylor misjudged the braking points. There's not really a braking marker heading into turn 6, so you're kind of running in there blind, having to use the rumble strips kind of as a visual reference. And yeah, he definitely had some help getting sent into the sand trap.
You know, there actually is. You'll see it right there on the right-hand side of your screen. There are braking markers, but they're so awkwardly placed that I had to remind a couple of drivers that they exist. As we see Joseph Selby, I think, off in the background, go off track. He in the 999 car, but they're so out of the way, you forget they're there. And I can tell you, I mean, when you're that close behind a car in front of you, you're more focused on making sure not to slam into the back of them. That sometimes you get so fixed on not slamming into the back of them that you end up slamming into the back of them. So it's pretty funny how that can happen.
Well, I know I've always heard that, you know, you when you look at something, you target something with your eyes, you tend to hit it more often than not, whether that's, you know, racing or other sports or anything.
Baseball.
You kind of focus, baseball, you focus on something, chances are you're going to hit it. So sometimes not always worth staring at the back of the car in front of you, because you never know, you may just look at it too much and run right over it. As you can still see, nice onboard shots right here. By the way, I want to give a shout out to our producer tonight, Joshua Lee, who filled in really when you're talking about the last minute. We were having some technical issues, some internet issues with our original producer, and Josh Lee stepping in basically after we were supposed to go green, and doing a tremendous job here filling in. So very happy with him, and Zach Johnson, who did a tremendous job, words are hard, through the first 5 weeks of this season. And no, I don't mean that in jest, that I wasn't able to say the word tremendous. That wasn't a shot at Zach at all. As we'll continue on here, Homestead-Miami, very early on. But guys, I don't think we've seen the amount of just the lack of rear grip this early on in a race. By the way, 93 degrees outside, so it's only getting hotter out here.
Track temp is 127 as well, so believe it or not, it got cooler, if you want to believe that. But
back up to 128.
There it is, right as I say it. So track temp, as we were talking about in our keys to the race, rear grip is imperative. I mean, when I was doing the laps for the video there, I was like, this is I was having trouble getting one lap in. These guys have to do an hour and a half's worth of driving on this thing. So I don't envy the position these guys are in to get through this race cleanly. We already saw a bunch of incidents already, so we got a long ways to go, as you see in the top left-hand side of your screen with the time remaining. So something that's kind of getting a little bit of a anxious here. Our battle for the lead in the Ballista Pack C class might be starting to heat up a little bit. Hunter Reeve in that 044 truck, the pole sitter, he's got a mirror full of Riley Dunn in that 77 right there. That Trevor car right there, that truck, the 77, the Trevor project, I should say, if I can say it right. But what a run by Riley so far. He's got that truck very clean so far. He's always been very vocal in practice sessions. He was happy to get a couple extra laps in during the technical issue delay there. So he's putting to work, putting to use those extra laps, and he's right on the back of Hunter Reeve.
Well, and by the way, Justin Prince, down to you. We just had somebody coming off of pit road right now. It's David Grantham.
In an interesting situation indeed for Grantham as a result of this pit stop. He was leaning towards a one stop for the race, but there was one thing he did indicate from pre-race where he was not sure with the drivers with more than one stop, except for the potential of a stop within the first 5 to 7 minutes or so if they felt like they may struggle on fuel. So he felt like the route that may be the route he takes, because he struggled to get anything more than 47 minutes out of his fuel run. So this may be a call where he may have felt he couldn't make it on gas with that pace lap potentially.
A very interesting call, and you can actually see this. I'm really curious to see, Sean and Josh, with right now Grantham, we know tires are so important. Could we see Grantham, again, in a truck, very low horsepower compared to these Cup cars? Could he maybe run down Vicente right here? Because that's the downside of this strategy right now, is that Grantham is a lap down. You have to imagine, I think a lot of the other trucks with a 45-minute race probably will do that as well. But I want to see if Grantham, just out of curiosity, it's part of the reason we run this series, I want to see a truck pass a Cup car on speed. It would be nice if it happened, but right now Salas still showing that with all that horsepower, there's just so much oval here, a lot of long straightaways here. It's very hard to do. Another truck down on pit road, that is Dustin Ping. So perhaps the truck's starting to recognize early on that pitting may be part of their race, especially with the speed difference and the pace that right now Vicente Salas has.
I mean, I don't think you're going to see it, especially with Vicente Salas. I don't think you're going to see a truck doing that. But for David Grantham, he only had an 8.2 second pit stop, so that's not fast enough for 4 tires and fuel. Maybe a right side of tires and just a regular Sunoco race fuel jug just in there. But I think he'll be close. The question is, how close is he going to be? Can he get that wave around? Is he going to come down pit road? What do you want to do here? What's your plan? So just kind of focusing on being as close to the leader. So if you need to pit before the yellow, you can go ahead and stay out and get that wave around and still be one lap down.
You know, Josh, I'll bring you back into this because I know this is your favorite topic perhaps in this entire series. So Grantham right now, he comes down pit road. You know, early on when you have fresh tires, everybody's restarted, everybody's bunched up. Guess what? David Grantham, he already has the championship locked up. But guess what? He could potentially win the race tonight and get the fastest lap. And right now he has fresh tires and he's behind Salas. And actually he'll run the fastest lap that we've seen in the Ballista Pack C-Class by over a second as he goes off track in turn 1 and comes right back on.
Yeah, he'll get the fastest lap. And I mean, there's no sense in not, packing that. You have the championship locked up. You can get that fastest lap. Do it. Go be a champ. Get that fastest lap. Make yourself feel good about yourself. The trend said it was between him and Brandon Panetta, and schedule says Brandon Panetta should get the fastest lap, but unfortunately his hauler isn't at the track this weekend, so he can't. So David Grantham says, you know what, if you're not going to be here, I'll get your scheduled fastest lap and maybe add an extra point to that.
Also, just want to touch really quick on Brandon Panetta. If you guys remember a couple weeks ago, see Brandon Watkins going off the track. He mentioned he had to have a procedure done very recently, so that's the reason why he's not here. JP reported that the procedure is over and he is resting, doing well. So want to give a shout out to Brandon Panetta. Wish you were here, man, but get better soon. We'll look forward to seeing you back out here. But Brandon was a great experience to have in this series, was such a positive influence on this series. Loved having him here every week. So Brandon, if you're watching, get better soon, man. And we're looking forward to seeing you again. Yeah,
we appreciate it. Thank you, Brandon, for participating. And we hope to hear some good news of recovery and fast recovery.
Everybody here at eRacr wishing you the best, Brandon, as we continue on forward here. A great battle going on. This has been brewing for a couple of laps that you saw on your screen. Justin Malillo, Hunter Reeve, and Riley Dunn, all really within a second and a half of each other. And, it's been interesting to kind of watch Reeve, who I think is a little faster through Malillo in the infield. And then, big slides there out of the 77 to Riley Dunn. It's what I love about this series. Multi-class racing. Malillo's going to pull away on the oval with the extra power in that Xfinity car, and then Hunter Reeve is going to come charging back through the infield section. It makes it hard to try and make up that ground.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. Oh man, this is such a balancing act because you want to try and balance those tires. You want to see how far you can get and passing people.
Oh, Malillo off track.
Oh,
shocking.
Yeah, going for a beach day, going through the sand here at Homestead. It's a great day to do it. Wonderful, wonderful temperature.
93 degrees, 133 track temperature, helping Justin Malillo with that excursion. And especially here in these Xfinity cars, you see kind of a little bit of a lockup of the left front here from Malillo. That's something we've seen across every track. It's just these cars, they lock up the left front easier for whatever reason. That's just how these cars race on road courses. You see a little bit right there from Malillo. I'm just looking out at this, and we're not that far into this race, guys. I mean, we're not even halfway through this first run, and we've already seen just a ton of drivers running off, having issues. It's amazing. It's amazing to see the challenge these drivers have. This is a wonderful battle for second in the A-Class amongst teammates. Your series champion and Matt Danson trying to hold off Christian Peterson, who was starting to run him down.
I mean, it's pretty much a broken record we've had all season, too. These Logitech Altis guys are always by each other no matter what track we're at. So any car that's in here, whether it be these two, Seth the Merchants run a bunch of races as well, they've all been together. So it really goes to show just how skilled all of those guys are on these road courses. As we have another incident here, Christian Peterson is kind of having some issues there, as we see kind of we've been having issues with everything all night internet wise, and I think Christian might be having the same stuff. Fortunately, he's not streaming anything, he's just racing. So big shout out to him. But another, I was looking through a few other drivers here, And if I could throw a little curveball in here, Josh has a segment where he likes to do is, the fastest lap. I think I might choose my favorite paint scheme of the race right now, and it fits the eRacr theme of this race. If you go to the 99 truck of Chris Colon, he actually has an ad for something he's selling on the eRacr.co marketplace. So it has a please buy my keyboard on eRacr. There's a QR code on the back of it. So, and that is one of the most creative paint schemes I've seen. It has an ad on it. We're getting a great close-up. Thank you very much, Josh. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. But on the hood, it says, please buy my keyboard at eRacr.co. So if you're looking for a keyboard there, you want to get something for yourself, go get Christopher's keyboard, because he is very anxious to sell it, and he's putting it all over his truck for us to see. I wanted to make sure we get that on the broadcast, help him out. But big shout out to Chris. That is one of the most creative paint schemes I've seen in a while.
That is amazing. I love it. I've worked on that website, and it's hilarious to see people throwing it on their paint scheme and saying, buy my keyboard there. So that is awesome. I mentioned it earlier about being on the beach, but as we come across, as we're following him going down the front stretch, you can enjoy that paint scheme. Look at pit exit. There seems to be a ton of dirt or something, sand.
Right there.
It's getting cleaned up. But that has got to be screwing with the brakes. If that is actually breaking traction, it has got to be making getting into that corner so difficult. I can't imagine. I haven't seen it all weekend, but suddenly it's there. I don't know what happened. Maybe somebody decided to start tanning there and grab some sand and put it out there.
Well, what I'm looking at is that on lap 1, there wasn't that much of it there. It's almost like it's either built up or it just hasn't gone away since the beginning of the race. And the thing is, you can hear it too. I'm just listening in the sim by myself, and when drivers travel over it, I mean, you can hear it. Very much, kind of like it reminded me of the beginning of Road to Pro at Rockingham. It was a very clean racetrack, not a lot of rubber laid down. There's just kind of dust and marbles and whatever, and this is just another example of it with sand, and that will affect the handling of the race car. iRacing does simulate that, where that kind of debris and trash, whatever you want to call it, that's left out on the racetrack, it will affect the handling of the race car. So how much you want to drive through it, getting on the brakes, sliding around, those are all concerns as we see a nice little intra-class battle right here. Actually, not intra-class. That is Lucas Cram on the outside of Wietendorf. I don't know why. I thought Wietendorf looked like an Xfinity car there for a brief moment, but Cram trying to hold off. That is for 5th in the Cup Series class.
I mean, there's 2 Mustangs out there. It could look very similar to that from a distance, but Cram and Wietendorf have been going at it for the last couple laps here, and it looks like Cram finally going to get the best of him. It looks like Wietendorf has a little bit of damage on that car there. It's not really affecting it too much there on the right side of it, but Cram able to get the position there. So, and as we if we go back up to the front here between the Logitech Gialta's teammates here of Danson and Peterson, they are just being the most polite I've seen to each other. They just keep letting each other by left and right as they go through that little sandbar right there. And as Blake said, that will affect the cars as Danson gets tight going through turn 2, and he's going to let both his teammate Peterson and Cody Harris by. So this is a 3-way battle for second now. Harris has made his presence felt in this.
Not only that, this is, I believe, the 3rd time in the last 2 laps that these two have passed each other, because initially Danson let Peterson by, then Peterson let Danson by, and now Danson just blew turns 1 and 2. So these drivers, you said they were being very polite, but now they got their hands full with Cody Harris, who was caught up to this battle, and Lucas Cram, who isn't too far behind. It feels like week in and week out, this A-Class has provided some great battles. Not up front. Vicente Salas is checked out right now. He is nearly 15 seconds ahead of this battle, but a great show being put on here for really 2nd through 6th here in this A-Class.
We just got past...
Leaders coming to pit road, guys. Sorry to interrupt, Josh. Vicente Salas is coming onto pit road. Is this a strategy call by chance?
Well,
I don't know. Let's see if we can toss it down to pit road, see what Justin's saying.
And bad news for Vicente Salas, in fact, because he has got an unsafe pit entrance call. It was told to all the drivers they had to use the access road in turn 3 with this configuration for the road course. He did not take the access road. He pit coming out of NASCAR 4. So that is a major mistake from Vicente Salas. Matt Danson's response: we may have a race on our hands now.
Wow. That's not normal. Vicente is normally really great at this. I'm shocked to hear that. As you see him, oh, this is going to be unbearable. It's a 26, 40-second hold, something like that. Maybe longer because we're on the road course layout.
Well,
Oh.
you got to think this is. I mean, this is so what makes situations like this so interesting. I mean, you think Vicente Salas, he's raced this configuration in the Coke Series before at this racetrack. They ran there earlier this year. I can only imagine. You know, you're running through 3 and 4, NASCAR 3 and 4 at least, just like you would in any other race. Perhaps the setup's a little bit different, but just the muscle memory and having to remember to pull down and being on a new configuration, obviously something that, you know, I guess it was hard to remember. So a costly mistake right there. And just like you guys said, we have a race on our hands for first place in the A-Class.
We essentially now have a 5-car battle for the lead as all 5 of the A-Class drivers that are up there are in contention. Vicente Salas fortunately did not lose a lap. He is back on the racetrack right now, so he is going to use that halfway caution to get caught up to these guys, and he'll have to make his way up through the field now. So this is going to add a nice little storyline into this race. But look at all 5 of these guys all over each other. You got Danson, Peterson, Harris, Cram, and Wietendorf all under a blanket right here as they make their way down one of the 2 infield straightaways. So this race for the lead in A-Class just got a ton more interesting.
Well, guess what? It's not just for the lead in A-Class. It's for the lead in B-Class as well. Harry Grindle, remember Cade McGee, he went off track a little bit earlier. Well, guess what? McGee is caught up to that battle, and he is right on the back bumper of your race leader in the B-Class. That is Harry Grindle, trying to do all he can. McGee was about a second faster that last time, so we're having battles for the lead really in every single class. Riley Dunn still about a second behind Hunter Reeves, so all 3 classes right now being contested up at the front.
This is amazing. I love this racing. You know, we've had incredible racing, and as I was going to say before Vicente came down, we just passed the halfway point, and of this run before pit closes at 42 minutes. So it's crazy to see some of these drivers who can't keep their car together. I'm sitting here wondering, how are you going to make it all the way to the end of this if you're already struggling for grip now?
That's a great question. I don't know. I mean, we have, you know, just short of about an hour left, which again, that would be the regular length of a race for all the other races on the schedule this season. Of course, this being the season finale, a little bit longer, a bit of a greater test for these drivers. They continue to have to battle the track temperature, Sean. I mean, is 195 is 1 car off into the sand trap once again. Not the first time that Arthur Reimer again has exited the course, and he'll have to get back on. I believe that's the second time in turn 6, I believe, that he has gone off the racetrack. But again, still climbing that track temperature, 135 degrees now.
Yeah, right in front of the leaders, too. Arthur Reimer goes off. He's able to stay out of the way, though, fortunately, as we take a look at our B-Class race for the lead starting to heat up. Harry Grindle, again, took the lead. I've mixed a couple of errors as we look behind him to Cade McGee, who's charging right now through turn number 7. Cade McGee last time by ran a 125.9 to Harry Grindel's 126.0. So McGee is coming, and he's got the draft. But look behind as Matt Taylor is not too far in the distance back here. He does have that front end damage. He is your points leader and most likely B-Class champion, but he'd want to end the season on a strong note as well. So expect him to be back into this battle in as we got another pit stop here. The 23 car is into pit road now. 23 onto pit road. Again, it kind of short pitting the halfway break of this stage, or before the midway break, whatever you want to call it. So Peterson going to take advantage and come down pit road first. He'll be much faster because of this, doing the shortcut a little bit. He'll have the older tires when he comes back out and has the lead. But perhaps, I mean, we were talking about how important clean air was at Watkins Glen in the Coke Series just a couple of weeks ago as Peterson blinks out there for a moment. I imagine clean air probably matters here as well, especially when you get in turns 3 and 4 up on the oval. I imagine that having clean air will actually make a difference where you want to run on the oval side as well.
and I'm just paying attention to the pit exit there. We see Christian Peterson, who has merged out, 11 seconds behind him. Vicente Salas had a 15-second lead, now an 11-second deficit to the car, who I guess you could say might be around the lead pack when everything cycles out. 11 seconds back for somebody who got a 15-second lead in 20 minutes. That is totally something that Vicente can overcome. And with that halfway break, his race is not over. In fact, it may have just gotten a lot more interesting and fun to watch.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we were talking about eRacr a little bit earlier in terms of the eRacr marketplace and of course Christopher running that amazing paint scheme to try to get stuff sold. You know, I want to give a shout out to another segment of eRacr that perhaps right now is more dank than any other segment of eRacr, and that is whoever the eRacr social guy is. Has been putting out some tremendous memes today, and of course as always, but I think they've been on their game more now than usual. So of course, if you haven't given us a follow, go over to Twitter at eRacr_GG. Give us a follow over there. We're on Instagram as well, because not only do you want to keep up with all your great content and see what else is being planned, whether it's things like this or I don't know, perhaps some ideas about different events. I don't know, maybe a Formula V or something comes to mind. I don't really know. But if you want to find out more or just see some dank memes, of course, whoever the eRacr social guy is does a tremendous job. You can head on over and follow us on social media as well.
I'm looking at chat right now. eRacr social guy is remembering that !social is not a command yet, so typed it out himself. That's pretty funny. But, you know, as we see right here, we got a great battle. Lucas Cram, John Wietendorf, really close, 0.3 of a second, which on a road course is practically on top of you, breathing down your neck. Got to stretch that out just a little bit. So we got on this middle front stretch. I don't know what to call this.
What can we call that? Can we call that like backstretch 1 or something?
There's like 3 backstretches here.
Justin Malillo is way off into turn number 4. He's all the way at the tires in the 53 machine. He's backing it up in the gravel trap. There he is. What happened there?
He must not have hit it hard though. Look at that nose. You know, there's not damage.
Gravel trap doing its job here.
We'll take another look here. This is him coming through turn 5. This is the backstretch 1 that we've deemed, I guess you could say. Yeah, BS1, as you see him. Oh, man, just doesn't make the corner and just
nicked it a little bit.
Gives it a little kiss.
Oh, man, that was awesome. You see it right here again, looking like a boogie boarder out of Daytona Beach. Slides across the sand and... Oh, what a kiss. This is chef's kiss of a slide right there.
Sure, the fine folks at Traction are very happy that no damage was done to their car on that paint scheme. So thank you, Justin, for avoiding that. So he's able to keep on going. Lost a bunch of spots, so he's back to 16th overall, 6th in class, but car's still pristine, and that's what we want to see.
That is the case. You know, guys, I'm keeping my eyes on 2 drivers. I thought Cade McGee looked like he had the pace to go up there and challenge for the B-Class lead. Just hasn't had the pace the last couple of laps to really chase down Harry Grindell. He's opened up his lead by another 2 seconds or so. But Matt Taylor, like you said, Sean, starting to slowly reel him in. So perhaps Taylor, who looks to try and claim a championship tonight, at least showing late in the run that he's got some pretty good pace.
But look who's reeling them in as well. Vicente Salas is right back there, so he's going to begin his trek through the slower cars, so to speak. So for him, he's got about, as he dives underneath Matt Taylor here, he's not wasting any time. So he's got to get as many positions as he can. We got about 4 minutes until the halfway caution comes out. And if I'm Vicente, I want to get to at least the tail end of the A-class field, as he's going to try to pass Cade McGee in here. He's not going to send this, as he is. Look at that. So he gets to the inside of McGee, and he's going to pass him. So Vicente Salas trying to set himself up for a strong second half of the race by starting behind the A-class cars and getting through this infield quick, and he's doing a great job of it so far.
Ooh, we got pit road takers. Christian Peterson. He's already been on pit road. Where's he going? Does he want more? Okay, this is interesting. This is a very interesting strategy call. I don't know if I agree with it. I don't know. You got more, JP?
And this is an intriguing situation for CP. No indication on the reasoning quite yet, but for Justin Malone, he was down to about a gallon or so left, he's indicated over the radio, in gas. So this is getting to where it could be tight for said fuel as a result for this race. And keep in mind, you mentioned the pit exit. It was a bit of a dicey pit exit, keep in mind, for CP a few laps ago, where he ended up coming around the very edge of the blend line. For CP, he's still in the box and out of the car, in fact.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, he's done. Oh man, he just withdrew from the race. That's I guess he had enough for today. That's interesting. Now I know Seth and Casey Kerwin, Seth the Merchant and Casey Kerwin both wanted to enter today. Seth was unable to make it, and Casey Kerwin was actually in the session quite a bit earlier, and his internet went away. I don't know what it is with internet today, but it seems to be definitely dicey for a lot of people. As we see an incredible battle here. Now, one thing I wanted to talk about, Blake, Matt Taylor is known for his dominance when it's come to this B class. He has dominated nearly every race he's been in. And it seems this race, that's just not the case. What the heck? What do you think about that?
Well, I think Taylor is showing his hand here that he knows how to get it done on the long run. As the track temperature is increased, the ambient temperature is increased. Taylor, he's kind of been sneaky good in a lot of these races where he kind of races up through the field, and once he gets out front, there's really no bringing him back. And I think he's showcasing that once again, as now he's within probably about 5 car lengths of that lead in this B class. Once again, McGee has run down Harry Grindle, and again, Matt Taylor, like you said, on the prowl late in the going. So I think that's what Taylor's been really good at. And, you know, that's something that you can give up a little bit of pace at the beginning of the run, but if you can take care of your tires, you're in a really good spot. And I think that's what Taylor has been able to showcase this year, is he can just put on a master class in how to get everything out of your tires late in the run. As you see on pit road, John Wietendorf, one of the few drivers who has yet to make a trip down pit road in this A-Class. Many of our A-Class drivers have already pitted. There's 3 left, Danson, Harris, and Cram, who have yet to come down pit road. And, you know, with Justin Malillo saying how close he was on fuel, I'd have to imagine that everybody's starting to get close at this point.
Well, speaking of Justin Malillo, he decided to take another trip through the Turn 2 gravel trap that time, and he has since towed the car. So tough scene out here for Justin so far. He's on pit road currently. There he is.
Still didn't damage the car, though. You know, all things considered, you know, you're bringing home a clean piece.
And that's what
maybe it has a bunch of sand. You know, you got to get all the sand out of it. But other than that, you know, not tearing up sheet metal.
Well, let's see what happened. There he is. He's going into Turn 2 right here, and he carries too much speed, and he's in the grass, and he gets it back on the track, and then he just decides there's a gravel trap here. I'll test this one out too, and it works. And then he just tows. So tough break for Justin right there. He's still in the car, but waiting on that tow. It could be very extensive at this racetrack. We're at the 45-minute mark, so we could be seeing this caution come out at any second so far.
Well, actually, Sean, we're only 37 minutes in. We had a 5-minute grid hold, so that might be why you see the 45-minute mark. But yeah, no, it's we got a bit more time. So we see Joseph off track here. He's right back on.
Turn 2 claims another one.
It's like international hockey, you know. Or actually, no, international hockey counts up. Yeah.
There's someone you're going with that, Blake?
Yeah, you know, I had a thought, and it just kind of, you know, went through my brain, and then I realized, that nothing I'm saying is making any sense right now. So we'll gather it back up. Really good battle here going on for the B-Class lead, though. It has been raging on for the last 10 or 15 laps or so. Harry Grindle still leading in his Toyota Supra, and then a Mustang and a Chevrolet Camaro. So all 3 of the manufacturers trying to do battle here. And again, Matt Taylor, I think what's so interesting about this is the amount of damage that he has on the nose of his race car. Have to think that that's affecting it in some form or fashion. surprised he's not overheating with that much nose damage, to be honest with you.
Surprised not either. I mean,
it's 93 degrees.
It's
It's
prime.
toasty.
That's prime ingredients for your car to start overheating on you, but he's able to kind of keep that thing going. The track temperature has jumped up to 133 degrees, so it is not getting any cooler out here, and it is the middle of August here in Miami.
Oh, here we go.
Battle for
Challenge
the lead.
on the inside, yeah. Here comes Kate McGee, and now Taylor looking to make it 3 wide as he crossed over. Grindel's going to look back low, and now Grindel Grindel loose off the corner. He's going to lose first. He might just lose second as well to Taylor.
Oh man, this is wild. Yeah, that track temp's warm. That's put your flip-flops on and walk around warm. You can't walk on that barefoot. That's going to definitely burn your feet. And you can imagine what that's doing to your tires at the same time as we see a little blink there. He'll get right back in. Definitely going to distract your competitors with stuff like that. So, this is going to be an intense battle going into turn number 2 here. Whoa. This is getting intense, guys.
I'm just sitting back and enjoying it right now through 3 and 4. The right-hander, McKee holding on, but honestly, Grindel, he's just locked. Those rear tires are just screaming at him right now, and Taylor's going to take advantage. He's even down the straightaway. Grindel is just. He is having a tussle with that race car down the straightaway. He's going to lose third. He may even lose, well, he's not going to lose fourth. He's going to lose a spot to another class behind him. But my goodness, Grindel just really struggling right now.
Definitely wants to see that caution come out very shortly here for him. He's got to hang on just a little while longer. So, but move Cade McGee back into the lead, but Matt Taylor, he's been running some very fast laps. Ever since he got that damage, I think he's been in tire conservation mode, and you got to lose the time at the beginning of the run only to gain it back at the end to have that much better tires so you can catch everybody. But very nice job by Taylor so far. Loses some time on the straightaway here, as you can see looking at the back of Cade McGee. But when we get to that infield road course, Matt Taylor makes up a ton of time.
By the way, we're hearing some differing strategies in terms of fuel and whether they can make it to the break. JP, you got more on that?
And it's been reported on the radio from Riley Dunn, it is going to be close. And I mean cutting it close. On pit lane, he said, within a couple laps, in fact, to try to make it on fuel. As a matter of fact, he's coming in this time by trying to enter the pit lane. Keep in mind, when it comes to this racetrack, he's talked about it with some of these racetracks this season where some races you have a couple laps of grip and then you're Olympic skating. It's been his best performance so far this season.
Well, and unfortunately for Dunn, though, he's on pit lane right now. He's going to get lapped here by Danson. The caution has not come out yet. Even if he did just a splash and go to try to minimize the time, it'd be difficult to do, but he's going to go ahead and take his service right now, take those tires. As Danson into turns 1 and 2 through 3 and 4 now. And he's kind of opened up that gap. We were talking about that battle that was taking place for quite a while there in A-Class, and Danson has moved out to about a 4.5 second lead over Cody Harris.
Those pit lane entrances have closed at this point, so no more people can come down pit road. If you're out there, you're going to be risking quite a bit. If you go down pit road, you're going to have a 42-second hold. It's, I guess you can come down. I don't know. I don't know what that penalty looks like, but it's just best not to take that penalty. You got to wait until pit road opens under caution, which will happen here in roughly 2 minutes or so.
Not a lot of time with that clock winding down. Again, the longest run of the season, really, if you think about it. We've had 60-minute races up to this point with a 30-minute halfway break. And we're making these drivers work really hard as the sun continues to just beat down here on the Homestead-Miami Speedway. And like it would in real life, it's 1:06 in sim time right now. That continues to roll on. And as you can imagine, Sean, I guess you're familiar with it. You don't live in Miami, but you live in Florida, so close enough. You know the summers in Florida go very hot as, there's Christopher Colin right there sliding. Or no, that wasn't Colin. That was...
Tyler
Stillwell, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a muggy experience at this part of the year, and that's not to mention whatever rain that comes in during the day. It's at that point where, you know, when it rains, it just feels like a sauna no matter where you go. But speaking of heating up, this battle for the B-Class lead is heating up. How about Cade McKee trying to hang on to the halfway break for Matt Taylor? But Matt Taylor has been a man on a mission this last part of the run. Gets a little wide going through turn 2 there. Here they come into turn number 3. But Cade McKee is going to be tested on how well he can defend, as Matt Taylor, this is where he's been so strong, coming off of turn 4, keeping the tires on it, who can get down to the power, and McKee actually gets away. Taylor spins the tires a little bit.
And typically race control throws
Oh
the yellow.
no, Taylor gets into McGee again. Second time entering turn 6 that McGee has made contact, gotten run into by Matt Taylor. And the caution flag is out, not because of that incident, but that is just, it perfectly works out when the timing came into play there to bring us our halfway caution. But second straight time, you see Taylor losing ground off the corner, really sliding, and I think, see it right here, just completely misses the braking point.
He is lucky that Cade McKee was looking in his mirror on that, because that could have been very, very bad for both of those guys. Taylor couldn't afford to get any more damage on that car. But there you see Matt Danson, our overall leader, and of course our overall A-Class champion. He's going to be picked up by the pace car. And that Porsche can get around this track a lot quicker than these guys can, especially on the tires. So they might have to make a note of that. So Danson is going to be your leader overall. Cody Harris, haven't talked a whole lot about him tonight. There you see him in that red and white car back there. He's currently in second, but I almost feel like Vicente just looms in the background there. There he is in that 55. Made his way all the way up to third after that pit road mishap. What a job by him. Lucas Cram and Cade McKee, actually, the B-Class leader, is going to be 5th overall. So nice job by those guys to mix it up with some of the A-Class drivers.
Again, you have a lot of differing strategy that makes that possible. I'm looking at the scoring, and it looks like about 8 drivers did not come down pit road during that run. Of every car that's still on track, 8 did not make a pit stop during that 45-minute segment. So interesting to see, because that's one thing we were talking about pre-race was it going to be possible, or was it going to be worth it to not put on tires through the first 45 minutes? And as we can see, it looks like a lot of drivers who were able to make it work made up that time. So, and it looks like a lot of the trucks, again, I think this was one thing that's really interesting. And again, this just comes down to multi-class racing, the limitations with the spec engine in the trucks, the different gearing. The trucks really had a tough time making it on fuel that entire run. Actually, Hunter Reeve was the only truck that made it to the end without making a pit stop. So interesting that, again, we have different bits of fuel mileage amongst our different classes. But they're going to come down pit road, and Matt Danson's going to lead them on. JP, I know there's a lot of talk going out over these radios.
Yes, indeed, a lot of strategy calls. Vicente Salas currently contemplating, can he short fuel a little bit when it comes to the gas? The rest of the drivers, for the most part, electing come down, except for Lucas Cram. He did not come down to the pit lane this time by. He's actually missed turn 1 as well. The rest of the drivers coming on into their stalls for their halfway pit stops. Up at the tracks is Danson and company, but among the drivers rolling off already, Riley Dunn and company ended up taking 4 to 5 second pit stops. Dunn 4.9, Cologne 5.6 as the rest of the drivers off and away from their service.
Interesting pit cycle there. Right at the beginning of the pit stall, you saw Tyler Stillwell, who on the truck bed had the thank you eRacr. He's going to be retiring here from the race very shortly, but he wanted to show his appreciation for the series, and glad to have him here.
Oh, he let a lap.
There you go.
Even if it was under caution, we were all kind of scratching our heads because we knew you couldn't really go much longer on fuel. We have a spinner here under caution, Christopher Colin, through turn 6. Just took a little bit of a half spin. As again, that is one thing about this pace car is it gets scooting around here. It's 50 miles an hour, but it stays at 50 and can kind of it has significant downforce. I'll just say that.
Now, we do want to talk to David Grantham here. He did win the Ballistic Pack C-Class Championship, so we're going to have Sean connect up with David here very shortly. And let's see. Sean, you got him?
David, you got us here. We dragged you into the booth again. We're going to do our caution interview, so you got some time?
Yeah, guys, I got you.
All right, very good. So tell us, man, you are our Ballistic Pack C-Class champion, of course. So how does it feel? You got any initial thoughts on being one of the first eRacer champions?
That's awesome. When this all started, it was just, I didn't expect this to happen. I just had hoped to be competitive, not wind up on any particular door bumper clear host podcasts, Idiot of the Week list, and just had really hoped that all my competitors would see that I actively try to race them with respect. So I mean, this is awesome, and I hope it's the first of many to come, ideally for me, but if not for me, then certainly other people too, because this is just such a fun series, and learned a lot more about these trucks and everything else that I ever thought I would, to be honest, in this amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've been up front every single race. I guess going back to what you just said, what were some of the things you had to kind of do to learn more about these trucks? Because you mentioned that you got a lot more experience at other tracks that you never really been to. What was the big key for you to kind of making sure you found the speed week in and week out?
Make practice harder than the race. Back when I ran track and cross country ages and ages ago, and even now when I train for events with the New York Roadrunners in New York City, I just try to make things a lot harder in practice, or simulate situations that may or may not happen if I have the time, but certainly just make it tougher than ideally it could be in race situations. So whether that's cranking up the humidity and the temperature, going to super slippery tracks that are similar, I kind of threw a little bit of everything at it.
It looks like it's worked pretty well for sure for you. One last thing before we let you go back racing. What's your plan for the rest of this race? Got sitting in second right now. That 044, Hunter Reeves, getting a pretty good speed so far. What's your strategy to get by him and take this one home?
I'm really impressed with Hunter. I thought I could make it, but then I was like, nah, if I don't pit early, I'm going to wind up a lap down. So I pitted about 10 minutes in, which is sort of my alternate strategy. And I think we're about the only two on the... Oh, it's four of us on the lead lap. So, yeah, I think it's go time now, because we have less than 45 minutes to go.
Absolutely.
And we have another pace lap, so I can definitely make it. So it's going to be totally going. Although I'm just running on just coasting right now.
Yeah, so it looks like they're letting the guys in the back get caught up. So before we let you go here, any thanks, shout-outs you want to give anyone that's watching for you that you want to give a shout-out to for your title run this year?
Obviously to my smoking hot wife and her service dog, Chuck, who I've been carrying along on this car since, all of them since the Firecracker 400. And my family, I know there's a bunch around the country watching tonight, friends, and it's really cool. And just to spread awareness about the type 1 diabetes, which my wife was diagnosed with at about 18 months old, this is just one of those small things that I think that people can do to spread the awareness and, have fun while you're doing it.
Absolute big fans of Chuck so far. Notice him on your truck there. Great cause for that. So it looks like he's on Instagram and Facebook at MoreChuck21. Is that right? Facebook, Instagram, Twitter?
So everybody can follow him along at MoreChuck21 on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And obviously I think posting's been a little bit slow because of our son and obviously the pregnancy recovery, which is a little bit more complicated just because of the type 1 diabetes. She's starting to pick it up, although all these series events really helped with the retweets and stuff that she was able to do to keep the post count going.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, great cause on that truck. Great looking truck all year, I might add. I never really got a chance to tell you. We've interviewed you a bunch, and I got to say, that is a great looking truck. Love the old style number on that as well. The old Mark.
Yeah,
number.
And that's kind of that's how I kind of want to race too, is, I grew up, I love Mark Martin, just absolute legend, and really just try to emulate, running real clean and winning where I can. So it's pretty cool to get to represent the 6 in that manner.
You can be the Mr. Consistency of this series, just right along with them. So,
Absolutely.
David, thanks again for taking the time to talk to us. I know you're getting back to racing here on the final pace lap, so we'll let you go. Great job all season. Congrats on the championship, and go get him in this last part of the run.
Thanks, Alan. Appreciate it. And appreciate all that you guys are doing, and I hope we can do one of these again someday soon. This isn't just a one and done.
Absolutely, Josh. I hope you're listening. So if I want to do more, then Blake will send it back to you. Thanks again, David.
More of them. You know, as much as I have loved the series, the concept has been so well executed, and it just makes you really wonder, could we ever see this in real life one day? I know there's so many logistics that have to go into it, and running different cars in different series at the same time, but I think at least the one thing we're seeing here is that it provides a lot of storylines. It provides a lot of entertainment. I don't think we've been really we haven't had to search for battles or content. There's always something going on. It's been so much fun to do. I hope we get to do this not only maybe in here, but in real life, and of course with whatever, I don't know, you Parker and Landon come up with, Josh. I know y'all got a lot of plans coming up here. So even aside from the eRacr Roval Racing Series, there is plenty more on tap. Maybe one day I'll be fortunate enough to know what that entails. But nevertheless, we will get back going green. Matt Danson hard on the charge, but how about Vicente Salas? Done with his penalty, he's sliding up into second. My goodness.
Oh man, this is wild. This is the racing we wanted to see. We'll see how long Matt Danson can hold off Vicente. It's been a Matt Danson show all season long, but every race that Vicente showed up to, he has dominated. So let's see if Vicente, Matt Danson one-on-one, who can beat who.
Guys, back here, our Ballista Pack C-Class race lead is starting to heat up. Grantham and Reeve were side by side going through turns 3 and 4. They come down into turn number 6 here. Grantham looked to the inside, nothing doing there, so Reeve's able to hold him off. And as David mentioned in his interview, he was very impressed with the speed by Hunter Reeves. So this race for the Ballista Pack C-Class race win tonight might come down to the wire. But Hunter Reeves doing a great job out front here as we have a battle for the lead in A-Class. Here comes Vicente for the lead.
And no shock to anybody, Salas already charging through the field. And I imagine that it won't be too much longer. The pace he had in that first half was ridiculous. They almost make contact. Danson and Salas working through oval 3 and 4. Surprised that they would cut it that close, especially if you're Salas and you're just that much faster. But it ends up working out for Vicente. He takes the lead, but my goodness, was that something? And then here comes Danson back to the inside. They nearly make contact again through turn 2.
He sent that in there, hit the dirt, got a little loose. Oh, Vicente goes wide here. Oh, and man, they are side by side. Anyone else notice they got real dark all of a sudden? There's a cloud over the track. That's going to cool down the track temperatures, give them a little bit more grip, allow them to make some moves. I mean, it's already dropped 2 degrees since the cloud showed up and said hello, so this is awesome.
Oh, really? It said hello?
It did. It came over and said hello and dropped the green flag.
Well, how polite. We like our clouds.
Very nice clouds.
To be well-behaved young men.
A very rare nice cloud in August in Florida. That doesn't happen too much. Usually the clouds are not very polite to us.
Well, here comes Salas once again. He lost the lead. Now, a big slide off the curbing, and now Danson going to take it back. By the way, don't forget about Harris and Wiedendorf here. They haven't lost track of this fight either, so Danson now through 3 and 4. Salas, he's going to run the wall and cut down. This is a really interesting line. Look at the run he's going to get off of oval turn 4. This is road course turn 10. That was such an interesting line. He started high, cut it low, and now he's going to take the lead into 1.
Oh, this is an absolute send. You know, I saw him doing it earlier. I didn't think to make note of it at the time, but watching it directly compared to the other way that they're running, he is so much faster. Oh, Cody Harris almost goes around. Wow. What a save there. John Wiedendorf got into the back of Cody Harris. They were able to keep it together, and the battle is still going on.
By the way, yeah, I was about to say Salas nearly spun it and lost it. in the exit of turn 3, hitting the rumble strips, but I think he's finally settled in. And unfortunately for Matt Danson, he may not have much longer to stare at the back of that Ford Mustang, because it is fast. And like you said, Sean, the cloud's still out. It's still cooling off the track. It's giving these guys some grip that I'm sure they've been begging for the whole race. As I believe Joseph Selby, he's got some right rear damage. Not exactly sure what happened to him, but...
Oh, get it together, DG. Get it together in the background. Oh. He keeps it off the wall. You know what? That is a win any day of the week. If you're out of control and you're just trying to save it, keeping it off the wall is your first and foremost thing. Ooh. Yeah, there you go. Good job,
he was
DG.
headed right for it, and again, that's a pretty narrow section of the racetrack. The walls are kind of gonna come up on you on both sides if you hit the throttle and try to spin the car out. So he did a nice job keeping that truck between both lines. Arthur Reimer now starting to venture. He's on the access road and entering pit lane. He was a lap down initially in this B class. He's currently running back. He's the last B class machine that is on track in the 6th position, but he's going to come down pit road, and I imagine perhaps get some 4 fresh tires. He's had a couple of spills tonight.
Yeah, he could be withdrawing from the race. I'm not sure. We'll see what he does here. He's getting tires. Maybe just going to have a good time. You know, it's the last race of the season. He knows he's not going to win the championship. He's not racing for the win. Put on some more fresh tires and just go out there and have fun.
Big shout out to Arthur, though. He's been here every week. So big shout out to Arthur. Been one of the few with 100% participation, and I guess it's got to count for something in this league. So really glad to see Arthur out here again, competing every week.
Yeah, that is awesome to see. You love to see people who come out here, take things, just run with them every single weekend. I know it's a little bit of an awkward time zone for a lot of people, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, but they're making the most of it, and especially people like Matt Danson.
Well, it's been people like Matt. It's been a lot of folks that have really shown a loyalty to this series. I think just because where else are you going to run on these type of racetracks? What other series are you going to run? The road course at New Hampshire, or the Homestead road course, the road course at Texas, which, I mean, most drivers probably don't even know was a thing on the service. So I think the uniqueness of the series, as well as just, drivers who, take to this style of road course racing in the stock cars, there's been a high degree of loyalty, not just from guys like Matt Danson, Arthur Reimer. Many of the folks that we see out there running tonight, they've been here pretty much since we dropped the green flag 6 weeks ago. So nice to see everybody that everybody's been able to make it to, if not all of the races, all but maybe one of them or so. A good battle for second going on right there between Danson and Harris, and then another great one right there, Colin and Dunn. That is for second in C class.
I think Riley's trying to buy that keyboard off of Christopher right ahead of him. Got real close to that rear bumper, getting a nice look at it, trying to see if he wants to buy it.
Probably scan that QR code on there as well from where he's sitting right now too.
That seems like a very interesting place to try and put a QR code. I mean, if you have that'd be hard to scan, especially if that was on a regular car in traffic. Would you scan it? Have you guys ever tried to scan a QR code while in traffic?
That would be very unsafe, Josh. I don't think I'd be willing to do that.
In the passenger seat?
I'll tell you, if we get a look.
There it is.
Yeah, I was about to say, if we can get one fan out there, in the ether that's watching this race, to be able to scan that from one of our broadcast shots, that would be incredible.
Oh, our producer just came over and said it worked for him. So let me see if I can scan it here. Oh, producer swapped out the shot. All right, let's see.
He's back.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
And guys, that is the aforementioned keyboard on the truck that he is selling. So it's a Lenovo K200 backlit keyboard. So again, there we go. There's a better shot of it.
Yeah, there you go.
Cam. So scan that code. That'll send you right to the eRacr link that's on, and get this keyboard off of Chris's hands. If he's that desperate to sell it and put it on a truck, we got to make it work for him. So show him some love and get that keyboard off his hands.
That is awesome. I love the unique sponsorships here in the Roval series. They are epic. Don't worry, you didn't miss anything right there. That was the action on track. Was That was the view Riley Dunn had the entire time behind Christopher Colon, was just staring at that QR code. So don't worry, you're not missing nothing on track.
No, and again, this is still a very close battle for second overall. You still have a good battle for first overall in this class. Hunter Reeve and David Grantham now duking it out as Grantham has pulled up to Hunter Reeve and really using that draft around the oval part of this road course to make up some ground.
So we're kind of having a lull in the action here as we're taking a look on board with Hunter Reeve. David Grantham, I think what he was doing at the second start of the second half of the race. So David was thinking about keeping his tires cool. As we mentioned, the track is still kind of cooling down. It was 133 degrees. Now it's 131. So Grantham now, tires are a little bit cooler. He might be able to push a little bit more. And we heard him say in his interview, he made practicing each week for these races as difficult as it can be. The track temp as high as it can go. So maybe this is what Grantham wanted. He knew how to handle these high temperatures of the track, and now he's putting it to use, trying to reel in our leader for C-Class and Hunter Reeve.
Well, I mean, this is hot enough, Sean and Josh, that you can't really plan on it being this hot. The iRacing sim basically tops out at 90 degrees, so any amount that it heats up after that is kind of the built-in variance. You can build a session with whatever weather you want, and you can add a certain percentage of variance, so it'll stray from that occasionally. But that's the only way that you can even create conditions that are this hot in the sim. So preparing for this would have been almost impossible, aside from just getting lucky in some circumstances. As you see, a great battle right here. Matt Taylor, Brian Sabelski, they've been going at it pretty much since we started this back at Texas. And Taylor, who's had a couple of run-ins and has some pretty significant nose damage, trying to get by Brian Sabelski, his counterpart that he's seen so many times throughout this season.
Well, it actually came down to them at Texas. Remember Sabelski was able to pass Matt Taylor on the final lap to win that race. So we saw it. He had it on Twitch. It was all over the eRacr socials. So one of the best moments of the season so far. But Taylor was able to get a little bit of that front end damage fixed. Not a whole lot, but it's going to be enough to maybe get that car a little bit more aerodynamics and hopefully make a run at it. But right now, Taylor's stuck behind Sabelski, so he's got some ground to make up for sure.
And this is actually the battle for the championship, sort of say. There's still quite a bit of a spread. Taylor's ahead at this point. I would say roughly 14 points ahead of Sabelski. Sabelski gets early on the brake, Taylor not expecting, and almost rear ends him. That would not have helped his front end damage issues right now. And yeah, wrecking the car is not good for a wrecked car. There you go. But as I was saying, this is a close battle. Sabelski needs to go up there and win this race to even have a chance at closing that gap anymore. If he did so, right now as it stood, it would still be about a 5-point differential towards Taylor's favor. So Taylor doing what he needs to do to keep things together and keep that championship on lockdown for the B class.
He still could be passed by a couple of those cars further on behind him in Selby and Reimer. Justin Malillo still sitting on pit road. He has left the server, so he has retired his machine. So Taylor just going to have to navigate around Sabelski smartly, who I'm sure is aware of the point situation, so going to do everything he can to fight them off. But it's been a really good battle tonight in that B class. We have this battle for third. You can see on your screen, just separated by a couple of car lengths. And Cade McGee's trying to chase down Harry Grindle right now. They're running about even times. McGee, you can still see the heavy rear end damage from the couple of coming togethers that he's had back there with Matt Taylor. But he was leading that B class, and we saw Grindle, especially later in that run, as we approached that midway break, that's where his car really started to lack that rear grip that you need. And we might see the same case here. Grindle will get out to a lead and then later on in the run fade a little bit.
Well, speaking of Matt Taylor, again, he was able to slip by Brian Sabelski on the front stretch. Sabelski let him by going into turn number 1 and said, here you go, Matt, go and chase him down. So Taylor still moving up through the field in the B class, up to 3rd in class, and Cade McGee's not that far up the road from him.
No, he's not. Still, and actually doing a great job of chasing him down, as Grindle has really kind of been sliding around the last couple of corners. He was really loose, especially through turn 4 on this lap. But we'll go ahead and kind of take you in a brief kind of review or rundown of this field. And oh, the leader, Vicente Salas, runs into the back of Arthur Reimer. Getting into turn 1, huge speed difference there, and Salas made contact with Reimer.
Oh, you know what happened there? I think Salas caught the beach that's kind of there off of pit exit, got him a little loose, not as much braking as he wanted it to be there, and that just barely enough slid him into Arthur Reimer. But it's a sketchy thing to do. As you were saying through the field there, Blake.
Yeah, we got interrupted there for a brief moment. We'll have to watch along and see if the damage or how much time that Vicente lost right there. But again, part of this series, dealing with lap traffic, dealing with different vehicles and classes. That's what we love about this series. You see Vicente Salas right now, your race leader. Matt Danson currently runs 2nd overall and in class, as does Cody Harris in 3rd, John Wietendorf in 4th. 5th in class is Lucas Cram. He's pulled it behind the wall. 6th, Christian Peterson. 7th was Tyler Gary, the last driver there in A class to make a start. So out of the 7 cars, only 4 at the moment remaining on track. That's your rundown of A class.
And then in B class, we got Harry Grindell, as you see right here on screen, followed closely by Cade McGee. This whole race is still up for grabs. Differential between him and Matt Taylor is only 1 second behind him. So Cade McGee in 2nd in class, Matt Taylor 3rd in B class, followed around 3 seconds behind him by Brian Sabelski in the 85 Camaro. Then you have Joseph Selby, who's on the tail end of the overall lead lap with Arthur Reimer 1 lap down, as you saw him getting collected there with Vicente Salas just a couple of moments ago. And the other B-class driver, as Blake alluded to earlier, is Justin Malillo, who is 23 laps down and off track, going over to the Ballistic Pack C-class with Sean.
And the Ballistic Pack C-Class is the place to be right now in terms of racing. There you see Hunter Reeve, our leader in that 044. He's got the 6 of David Grantham, our point leader and champion, right behind him, still chasing him down. So they picked up a good amount of time, and they have a big gap back to the 99 of Chris Colon. Again, mentioned us the paint scheme of the race so far. If anyone hasn't bought that keyboard yet, please do it. I don't think we mentioned it enough times. But there's the QR code again. So scan that code if you want to get that keyboard from Chris, get it off his hands. But behind him, Riley Dunn in that 77 has lost a bit of ground. And this is actually not really a battle for position here behind Dustin Ping in the 1 truck, behind Riley's 1 lap down and 5th overall in the class. And behind them, the last truck on the track is DG Swiss in the 26. He's heading into turn 1 right now. 3 retirees in the Ballistic Pack C class. Tyler Stillwell, Brandon Watkins, and Jeremy Bro are your 3 trucks off the track. And Blake, these races are starting to get a little more heated now as we're starting to coast down in the waning portions of this race. But one thing's been the constant: Vicente Salas has been in a class of his own throughout this whole event.
He really has, and remember, he had that penalty, but he really had it at a good time of the race. He didn't go a lap down, didn't have to worry about that. And of course, if he wanted to pit in the second half, well, guess what? He learned a valuable lesson that you can't do that on the course. So fortunate to have that kind of midway race break to fall back on and be able to use that, get the restart, and then was cleanly able to get around Matt Danson, although it did get contested there for just a moment. Speaking of contesting, as we wind down in the last 20 minutes of this season, we'll remind you of the point standings. A lot of different spots up for grabs as the B-class lead also gets pretty contested. That's the one championship that isn't fully decided yet. The A-class, we talked to Matt Danson earlier, David Grantham. And the Ballistic Pack C-class, we talked to David Grantham, who won that championship. But right now, that B class, really the only thing, at least as far as the championship is concerned, is up for grabs, but still a couple of points out there for a couple of these drivers, particularly in the Ballista Pack C class, where it's been really close at the front of the field, and a lot of our front runners are still out there. And of course, it's Formula One points, so one spot can make a big difference in the standings.
That's very true, especially if you're winning. That's 25 points versus 18 points for second. You want to go out there, you want to get those points. And Blake, what's the thing I say? Try to go fast, because you can get that bonus fastest lap point if you're fast enough.
I consider doing it if you're John Wietendorf or Arthur Reimer, Joseph Selby. You kind of have nothing to lose at this point. You're not going to fall back, so maybe at the end you just come down and pit and maybe try to get that fastest lap, so you at least get the bonus points that it offers.
You can see right there on our ticker above, the best lap is being presented, so you guys can see the fastest laps from each and every single driver. But as it stands right now, Vicente Salas has the fastest lap in the A class by a wide margin, and I believe Cade McGee is currently the fastest lap holder in the B class, another by about 2/10 on that one. And as I look through C class, I think that one's going to go to David Grantham again. He's going to get the fastest lap for C class with a 1:21.858.
I mean, this is what I was talking about. We need the side-by-side technology, but that last camera shot we had on backstretch A, I guess, in the infield, that featured both of our B and C class battles for the lead. That hasn't happened, I think, all season. So there you see Grantham making a move onto Hunter Reeve there, and but just ahead of them, Cade McGee, Harry Grindell, and Matt Taylor are all there. So watch this shot we're going to have go down the back here. It's a rarity, Blake. I wanted to point it out, but that was so cool to see as both of these battles are starting to heat up big time.
They really are. Hunter Reeve is stuck behind Brian Sabelski at the moment, so that is kind of holding up the traffic. The Xfinity car able to hold them off down the straightaway, but Grantham, you see, this is the battle that we're mentioning right now. That Xfinity car right now, I think, doesn't have the pace that Hunter Reeve has directly behind him. But he can't get around it because on the straightaways, the Xfinity car pulls away, and then the truck pulls back through the corners. So really interesting battle going on. Again, this is right behind, as you mentioned, that battle for the B-class lead between Grindell, McGee, and Taylor.
I love Sean's enthusiasm about the virtual side-by-side with the one camera shot. That was great.
I think I've mentioned we need that side-by-side like every week, so we'll develop the technology at some point. We'll figure it out, but if there's any series in iRacing that as a broadcast, I think this one needs it the most.
That's definitely very true. As we see them go over the turn one beach, make their way through the corner, still keeping a good distance out in front is Harry Grindell in the 70 Toyota with Cade McGee and Matt Taylor. Just the train coming through. That's the B-class freight train, and it is rolling on through the station right now.
Just behind them, they were finally able. I've talked about Hunter Reeve and David Grantham. They were finally able to get by Brian Sabelski. As you see them there, I think Sabelski let them go. But Blake, this is going to be really interesting to see how that's going to affect this battle. Reeve now is a little bit more clean air now, so we'll see if he can finally pull away from David.
Well, he has clean air, but also you have to think we have very long straightaways here. Maybe that draft, we've seen the trucks have been really close throughout this race. I have a feeling that some of that is draft related, just by the fact that maybe the dirty air isn't that bad in the corners, but the draft overall is better to have than the detriment the dirty air is. And I think that's just evidenced by the fact we've had battles for first and second, for third and fourth, pretty much going on all night long in this Ballista Pack C class. So we'll see. Reeve is able to get clear and make up a little bit of ground on David Grantham at the moment. But again, we'll see how that shakes out now that they were able to get by Sabelski.
You see, I really want David Grantham to win because we've already interviewed him. That would mean we have one less interview to do after the race. It'd make it real easy for us. No, I'm just kidding. We'll interview him regardless. But that is, you see right there, making up plenty of space. He's up 9 spots from the start of the race, from 18th to 9th overall. making a lot of forward progress and definitely trying to chase one last victory for the season. It's a good battle.
Oh, McGee and Grindle are very close right now. McGee's going to have a run.
There he is.
On the second backstretch, here he goes inside to turn 8. Hard on the brakes. They both lock up. They'll still be side by side as they exit the corner. McGee's able to slide up as Grindle once again loses it. So once again, Grindle late in the going, not able to keep the rear grip together. And Matt Taylor's right there as well to try to pounce.
As they're looking to pass the lap truck, that's DG Swiss, old Dad Gamer Swiss in that 26. He's going to stay up the top. He's going to stay far away from this battle as they head off a NASCAR turn 4. This is turn 10 on the road course. Grindle might not be done defending yet. Matt Taylor is right there. He might try to send it down as Grindle sends it into turn number 1. Is he going to be able to keep it on track? He is. Here comes Taylor right to the rear bumper. He's got to hit the brakes a lot harder. And Grindle looking to the inside of McKee again as they head through the corners.
I think there was the slightest of touch going into that corner there from Taylor to Grindle.
But look behind. The battle for C-Class has caught them. So this is going to be incredible to watch. This is 2 battles for the class leads right on top of each other.
Wow.
Reeves able to break away by just, or excuse me, that's McGee who's able to break away by just a little bit. But yes, Swiss now getting lapped. McGee, oh no, they make contact between Taylor and Grindle as he slides on back once again. So they kind of sorted out there for second. But Grantham able to use kind of this little bit of traffic right here to make up a little bit of ground.
This is the first time we've seen this all season with 2 different classes fighting for the lead on top of each other. Here's David Grantham. You're on board with him in that number 6 truck. He's still trying to chase down Hunter Reeve. But look at Hunter Reeve. He's passing Harry Grindle. He was just leading the B class a couple laps ago. But the B class cars are going to have a lot more speed on the straightaways, as you see there. But this is what we were hoping for the entire season, is to see a type of battle like this. You see the truck get through the corners so much better than the cars. The cars are so much faster on the straightaways. Grindle is going to lose that position to Reeve, and he puts himself between he and Grantham now. So Grantham now is to overtake Grindle for the class lead.
And again, if you're Grindle, you don't want to lose sight of that B-class battle. Oh, and that may not help him in that regard as he runs a little bit off course, gets back on after taking about through the grass. And by the way, Arthur Reimer, another lapped car, slowing up Cade McGee. That's allowed Matt Taylor to get right back in this battle for the B-class lead. And Reeve and Grantham to catch them.
Man.
No! That's a stack up. Oh my goodness.
Oh.
Wow, the 2 class leaders collect each other. Oh no!
Matt Taylor's been knocked off the track. Oh my goodness, that is poor Matt Taylor. That's the 3rd time we've seen him get in incidents. And now the battle for the C-Class lead is starting to heat up again. Here comes Grantham making a run at Hunter Reeve into turn 8. He's going to get it, but Reimer's still on the track. His internet's just all over the place right now. He's really separated all these cars here.
Well, Grantham just took the Ballista Pack C-Class lead, and now he's going to be challenged for it once again. Side by side as they head through turns 9 and 10. NASCAR 3 and 4. Reeve to the bottom of the track. He'll take it back. He hits the apron. Grantham, I imagine, going to have a huge run, running the high side here at Homestead. Not quite the same as it would be on the oval because you're not running as fast on it. You can't carry that momentum up there. But Reeve lost the lead, gets it back through the sand. Oh, Grantham clipped the right rear in the grass. He's still going to be able to collect it, though. But my goodness, this is some great action late in the going here at Homestead-Miami. 10 minutes left in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. And this is, I think, the best intra-class battle that we've seen so far this season.
And none of these people need to let the other one by. They're all also fighting for overall position. So it is no blue flags, none of that. This is just grab everything you can get and try and not burn your tires off. And this is incredible. I love it. This is awesome.
Some great stuff, but can Reeve hold off David Grantham? I think that's the question. It seems like the B class is kind of split up because of this battle for the C class lead. And man, Reeve is just, again, this is what I love, the push and pull amongst these different vehicles. You see Reeve able to make up that ground through the infield. And then as we get on the course, or the oval rather, there you see McGee able to pull away. McGee's going to go to the middle and defend. And we've seen this a couple of times. Start up high in 3 and 4 and kind of cut down to the bottom of the track. But now Reeve going to try to go by your B-class leader. He's got to run heading into turn 1.
And he has to, because he has David Grantham still on his tail. Grantham really sends it into turn 1 there, closes in a lot on Hunter Reeve. But this is where the storylines play out. Reeve and McKee are both the class leaders. And McKee doesn't want to give up any time to Cybelski, who's in second now. But here he comes. He's going to, I think he might let them go. So here comes Reeve. But McKee's going to have the straightaway speed. This is all going to cancel out at some point.
I don't think we've seen a lower class leader.
Grantham sent it in.
Wow.
Grantham still made it. But, man, was he close to getting in the back of McGee right there. And I think you're right, Sean. He kind of let them go, but you don't really want to do that because guess what? Then Brian Cybelski, that orange car back there, trying to chase that green car on your screen, he's going to be right there. And now he's going to go side by side. That's not going to help either of them out.
Oh, and there's almost contact off of turn 8. This is what we've been waiting all season for, to see in a situation like this unfold. So there you see Reeve. He gets off the corner better. But now here comes McKee with the speed in the straightaways. But now McKee's...
Did he just side draft him?
I think he tried to.
Side drafting with different cars. I mean, it doesn't get any better than this.
Where else can you see it? You can't see it anywhere else. With this. Now, here comes Reeve. I think he should have a big advantage now because he's got a lot of clean track ahead of him. But now McKee has to contend with Grantham behind. As you see the truck, Grantham right behind as Grantham goes off the track. And now Grantham has to do his best to get by McKee in the road course area. And there's Brian Cybelski, that red and orange car. He's in second in B class. How is this going to play out? This is something has to give with both of these battles.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up real quick. Last time we were exiting onto the oval portion of the track, Cade McGee full lock left his front tire.
Huge send. No, he saved it. How did he save that? A huge lockup, and he corrected it. And honestly, he didn't lose time to McGee. He definitely lost time to Hunter Reeve. But now here comes Brian Cybelski, who needs to get on by to try to get the lead in B class.
And right after this, we'll show you what's happening. Cybelski throws it in, but what a save by Grantham there, not to go into the gravel as we've seen so many times. Back live now, Cybelski is able to make the pass by Grantham. That's for 7th overall. And now he's got free reign to try to chase down Cade McKee. Meanwhile, Hunter Reeve just loving all of that. He's been able to open up the gap between he and Grantham. So unless something crazy happens in the last few minutes of this race, 3 minutes now, to be exact, 3:38 now, he's got nothing really to worry about unless there's a crash between him or somebody else. But that was by far the most exciting battle we've seen in a long time in this league, and I'm so happy that panned out the way it did. Multi-class battles for the lead, and everything has to come to a head. That was fantastic to watch.
Reeve, he had a big slide through 4. He lost a ton of time there. McGee now having to hold off Cybelski. Again, waning minutes of this series, Josh, and I think this is a picture-perfect representation of what we thought this series could be.
Oh, absolutely. And what I was going to allude to before David Grantham sent it in on McGee there was I saw him lock up his front tires by turning it fully to the left, or going to a steering lock rather than a brake lock. And that tells me right there, he has no front grip. He's burnt those front tires off, and he can't get into corner. So what you're going to see right here is, did Brian Cybelski do better? And we'll see right here. I think he did. Oh, man, that was close.
Goodness.
He was hard on the brakes. Grantham caught up to the back of him. Does he have the power to try and pass him off the corner? No. Again, under 3 minutes remaining. Cybelski, much like he did at Texas, trying to make it happen at the last possible moment and make his way by Cade McGee here for the lead.
We don't really have a chance to catch our breath in this battle right now. So we'll give you a quick update with the A-class stuff now. There's, as we say, Vicente Salas is just completely checked out. in this. But while we have a second, we haven't updated A-Class at all. So Matt Danson still runs in second. John Wheatendorf is third. Cody Harris fourth. Those are the only 4 A-Class vehicles on track. There you see, this is actually going to be a battle for second between Wheatendorf and Danson. So we'll keep an eye on that. But back to the center of attention right now in this race. Cade McKee has gotten onto backstretch 1 right now, and Sabelski is still in tow. So this is going to come down to the wire with this battle. Both of these guys running identical lap times, and they have Grantham to deal with as well. So this could all come to a head, and we got less than a minute and a half left in this race.
I think we're going to be 2 to go when these guys cross the line, as Vicente Salas just crossed the line, and Barney the flagman still did not have the white flag out. So just barely enough. So we're going to see this go just a tad.
Oh, the bell shot!
Whoa! Oh my goodness, what was that?
Grantham gave Sabelski a huge shot getting into turn 8. My goodness.
Well, Grantham's been late on the brakes the entire time in the infield. We've seen all race. Let's take another look. I'm not sure if he was late or Sabelski was too early, but man, that is not what you want to do at this stage of the race at all. I'm curious to see what the onboards look like. Here we go from Grantham with the left side view. And I don't know. I mean, it looked like we were both pretty late on the brakes. Just Grantham was later. Fortunately, none of the guys have been off track. They're still going, but that is a hair-raising moment for sure. Ugh.
Well, and yeah, that destroyed the front end of Grantham's car. He's much slower, or his truck rather, but now Matt Taylor has caught up to Sabelski, who rides in second. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to have time to chase down Cade McKee.
Sabelski might have significant rear end damage, and these cars are already loose through the infield. The significant rear end damage in a way that's going to affect his. Yeah, you see the white flag is going to be displayed here. This might affect his downforce, so I don't think he's going to be able to catch McGee. And now the question is Matt Taylor going to be able to pass Sabelski on this last lap and a half?
See if he has enough for him. They get through turn 8. Again, this heaviest braking zone really on the track. And again, they'll really have one more good go at it. I don't think if McKee doesn't make a mistake, he pretty much has this in the bag. Still a good battle on for second, though, between Taylor and Sabelski, who are clawing for every single point they can get here on the last lap.
Yeah, so ever since we had that amazing battle, that interclass battle for the lead, it's all calmed down now. This is the closest battle you're watching here. White flag is out. One more lap to go, and here comes Taylor. He's going to make a run at it into turn number 1. He has to, and this is where McKee can't make a mistake as we see Taylor go inside, and Sabelski's off the racetrack. He's going to lose second in B class to Taylor, and here they come through turns 4 and 5 here, and that is one of the big mistakes you can't afford to make at this juncture. Take another look. Taylor gets a great entry into the corner. Sabelski slides off, and Taylor moves himself into second.
Well, again, that's only going to help Taylor pad his points lead over Brian Sabelski, as Vicente Salas has taken the checkered flag so quick that we could barely keep up with him. He will dominate here in the A-Class after having his early pit road penalty. He wins by about 10.5 seconds over Matt Danson. Hunter Reeve, by the way, we get to call him a race winner as long as he can make it through the oval portion of turns 3 and 4. This is the first time we get to call a Truck Series winner in the Ballista Packs C-Class before the B-Class.
How about
so
this?
A wonderful job here from Reeve. The truck beats the Xfinity cars today. So Hunter Reeve, your second winner tonight.
He's 5th overall. Look at that. That's the first top 5 for a truck overall this season. So big shout out to Hunter for that amazing performance. Right behind him is going to be your B-Class winner, Cade McGee, who's going to come home in 6th overall. So as they all cross the line, finish out the season, what a way to end this season, boys. That was exciting.
That was a race for the season, for the years, for the ages. Instant classic right there.
That was a heck of a way to end it. And with that finish, Matt Taylor, the only champion that had yet to be determined, but as he crossed the checkered flag, Matt Taylor will be your B-Class champion. So McGee with the win, Reeve with the win in B and C class. But, of course, opposite champions, and then Matt Danson, who brings it home in second tonight in the A-Class. Of course, he locked up the championship before we even took the green flag today. So I know this has kind of been the tradition here in this series that we kind of have the 3-car salute and then the burnout. Do we have 6 tonight?
I think we have a 6-car salute right now as we see
boy.
Salas is our first arrival. Danson's going to come up and line up as well, I think.
He sees Salas doing something up there, so I don't think no, he's still sitting there, so we'll wait for that. But I think all these guys are trying to coordinate with each other and how they're going to make this work. 6 cars across one single lane is going to be tough.
Yeah,
Maybe they can make it work.
This is going to be, normally it's difficult to get 3 of them to line up together, but now we got 6. We'll see McGee, Taylor, Grantham. He's coming out off of, oh man, this is awesome. This is incredible. This is stuff you can only do in multi-class racing.
Grantham looking for a lane. He finds it. All right. So how are they going to work this? Josh is saying the congratulations over the radio. He's also doubling his race control for this. He counts them down, and there they go.
How's this going to look?
If there's no contact, I'll be shocked, and there's already contact.
Oh, somebody just blew up already.
None of our burner outers blew up, though, so that's good.
I was thinking that was why. I mean, again, it is really hot here, so I wouldn't imagine that the engines are.
I think Salas blew up. Oh.
Oh. Well, you hate to see that.
Well, our photographers are going to have a lot to do. Seth Eggert, Dylan Nadwadney, if you guys are working this race, good luck getting these shots because it's going to be one of the difficult ones. But what a season, Blake. A lot of these guys drove their rear ends off in this race in all season, and see it come to a head like this with a instant classic like this, I don't think it can end much better.
No, absolutely not. We'll go ahead and take a look at our full results for the final time here in round number 6 of the eRacr Roval Racing Series. This is all overall finishes. So is Vicente Salas first in the A-Class, Matt Danson in second, John Wiedendorf third, Cody Harris in fourth. The Cup cars were never challenged in this series. It was pretty much the Cup cars had pace that nobody else had. Then Hunter Reed fifth overall, your C-Class winner, and then Cade McGee sixth overall. He is your B-Class winner. So your winners, we almost had all 3 winners in the top 5, I believe, for the first time in this series. We get 3 of them in the top 6 tonight. But Matt Taylor, 7th overall. He was 2nd in class. Brian Sabelski, 8th overall, 3rd in class. David Grantham, 2nd in the trucks, 9th overall. And Harry Grindell rounds out the top 10. He was 4th in the B-Class tonight.
We'll go on down to 11th position. Chris Colon is, again, if you haven't bought the keyboard, do it now. He's finished his 11th there. Riley Dunn will come home in 12th overall, 4th in class. Joseph Selby in the B class will finish 13th overall, 5th in class. Dustin Ping, 14th overall and 5th in class in C class. DG Swiss, 15th overall, 6th in class. Arthur Reimer 16th, Lucas Cram 17th, Tyler Stillwell 18th, Justin Malillo will finish 19th, and Josh Christian Peterson, amidst the internet issues, will round out the first 20.
And going on through to the back 5, you got Tyler Gary, Brandon Watkins, Jeremy Rue, Casey Kerwin, who, yes, he was here. I told you guys he was in the server, didn't make the start. Same with Thomas Fensler, who also was able to join but wasn't able to make the grid. We appreciate all of them for participating today as well.
Very much so. As there you take a look and see if we can't catch up for the driver of that 55 machine in Vicente Salas, who is your winner tonight in A-Class and overall. Multiple wins this season, Vicente, but tell us about how you overcame that pit road penalty early on.
Yeah, I didn't know we had to go through the access road, so I kind of made my way onto pit road and was surprised by that penalty. And I didn't think I'd make up as much time as I did under green flag with those tires, but ultimately I guess it set us up for that second stage, and we capitalized on it.
Well, it's good to see that, but also kind of talk about this road course in particular. I know this is one that it seems to be a little more popular on the service, but is it something that you've run a time or two beforehand?
Honestly, I don't think maybe a couple times in a GT car I've ran some laps, but I've never actually raced it. So racing it was a totally different experience with how much of a variety of corners there are. You know, turn one is such a sweeping corner into a few slow speed corners, got a few mid speed corners, even mixing the oval turn 3 and 4 into it. So I think it makes for some really good racing.
It really does. Well, Vicente, anyone you want to give a shout out to as you take another one home tonight?
Yeah, I'd love to give a shout out to everyone at Space Station Gaming for the support, Steel Series, Champion Esports, and you guys for putting on the broadcast.
Well, that is your winner tonight overall. Yet again, here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series, it is Vicente Salas. Did a masterful job navigating these corners. It was really no doubt here in A-Class tonight. But why don't we go ahead and catch up with the winner of C-Class? I'll throw him over to you, Josh. We'll kind of change up the running order here because, well, guess what? He finished ahead of your B-Class winner tonight. That is Hunter Reeve.
Hunter Reeve, how about that? Ballistic Pack C-Class winner, and also going to be finishing ahead of the B-Class. How does it feel, Hunter?
That was a tough race. I didn't think about that finishing ahead of B class until you just mentioned it. I was just so focused on, conserving tires and conserving fuel. So pretty happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. You managed to conserve the tires better than the B-Class drivers, managed to make the power deficit not negligible. So congratulations. Who do you got to thank for this awesome dominating victory in Ballistic Pack C-Class?
Yeah, for sure. Just big thanks to Operation Motorsports, Tooth Auto Sport, and of course, thanks to Ballistic Plaques.
There you go. That's Hunter Reeve, the Ballistic Pack C-Class winner. We're going to go ahead and send it back up to Blake.
Back up to us, and as we direct it around, we'll actually send it right back down to Sean Butler. He's caught up with Cade McGee, your winner tonight in the Xfinity Series class.
Cade, you got us, man. I see your mic is off in the channel here. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
There we go. So, Cade, when you go back and watch this broadcast, you're going to see we were absolutely focused on that whole battle between you guys leading the B class and the C class battle for the lead happening at the same time. Tell us, first of all, how you were able to get through that whole mess and hang on to the win, and how difficult this race was tonight.
Oh, I don't even know how I dodged all the chaos there at the end with the trucks and the Xfinity cars coming together. At the end, I had quite a lot of tire wear, more than the others, I believe. So actually, the trucks being there, I think, helped me because it made it difficult, harder for the other guys to catch up to us. And this race was a long one. This is definitely the hardest race we've had all season. Maybe even one of the hardest races I've had in sim racing.
And it looked like it too. We were talking about, the rear tire grip and the brakes and all that coming to head here. What did you think was the most difficult challenge for you to overcome to A, keep your truck clean, and B, make it to the end of this thing in one piece?
It's very easy to overdrive at this track. If you just go in just a little bit too deep, you end up right off the track, and it's very hard to get back on the track with all the gravel and grass. And the combinations of the brake being so hot and the rear tire wear mean the car wants to understeer a lot once you get into a run. And how much it changes over the stint from the beginning to the end it's very dramatic. It's huge.
Well, despite all that drama during that race, you're able to bring it home with the win. Kate, congratulations, man. Anyone you want to give a shout out to before we let you go celebrate?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my team, Iron Rock Motorsports, and my sponsor at the slow restart.
Well, there you go, Kate. Congratulations, man, on the win. Go enjoy it. Back to you, Blake.
Great to hear from all of our class winners tonight here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series for the final time. But we also have one more driver to catch up with. It is Matt Taylor, who tonight, with his second place run, claimed the B-Class championship. You're the last champion to be named, Matt, but golly, that looks like a lot of fun out there, a lot of crazy action, especially out there in that B-Class tonight.
Yeah, this was a really challenging course. I really struggled with brake markers on the infield, and unfortunately got decayed a few times. Just a kind of a sloppy drive overall, but I was luckily was able to kind of scramble and hang in there and at least hang on to second. Being kind of trapped back in traffic and managing some fuel early on definitely made for a different challenge tonight.
It certainly was, but even with what you would determine as a sloppy drive, guess what? It doesn't matter. You are the champion of the B-Class. How does that or how does that make you feel to hear that you're an eRacr champion?
That's awesome. I really had absolutely no idea what to expect when I signed up for this series and what it was going to look like, and it's been a ton of fun. Being able to grab the championship is awesome, and I'd love to move up a class next time this gets run in whatever format. This is a blast.
Well, speaking of changing cars, I mean, this was a car that was relatively new to you, wasn't it? To not have a lot of experience and to come out on the other side on the top of the mountain, that's gotta feel really good.
Yeah, I did not own the car until I believe it was the Friday before the qualifying opened up. And I jumped in, ran a few laps, and really just I had no idea what to expect. You know, I don't run stock cars, primarily open wheel. But to be able to jump in and kind of feel it out, and I really like driving a car where you do have to take care of the tires and really drive around that. And it was a new challenge, and it was a blast.
Well, glad to hear you had a blast. I know we had a blast up here in the booth. But Matt Taylor, congratulations on your B-Class championship.
Thank you, guys.
All right, guys. Well, it's hard to believe it's felt, in some ways, it felt like it just started last week. In other ways, it feels like we've been doing this for a little while. But, you know, I'll kind of do a roundtable here, get your guys' final thoughts before we sign off for the final race of the eRacr Roval Racing Series. How was it? Did it meet your expectations?
Yeah. I mean, let's just take a look. If we just compartmentalize this last race, it was wild, and we didn't even have the entire field out there. We started the field, it got a little bit thinner throughout the season, but that's to be expected as people's playoff hopes go, or their chase or championship hopes. I can name 3 different ways to name the same thing. As those go away, they'll go away, but the battles, they consistently stayed, and they were incredible. This race was awesome. You know, you never, ever get to see stuff like this where you have interclass battles in a regular NASCAR race. Hey, Steve O'Donnell, let's make this happen. Whoever at NASCAR sees this, I need you guys. Let's make this happen in real life. This would be awesome.
I'm right there with you, Josh. I mean, especially this last race was case in point. I mean, as Blake was saying while we're watching that B and C class battle, that was everything we were hoping for this series. So the 2 different classes duking it out, kind of tripping over each other a couple times. But nonetheless, this race, and especially the last couple, have proven to be very exciting. So overall, I'd say the series was a great success. And hopefully, if and when we do get this series another season, we'll have some more participation, and then the battles will be that much better. So hopefully it was fun, as fun for you guys to watch as it was for us to broadcast, but definitely A+ on the series for sure.
Yeah, I think this this series really lived up to the hype in what we were able to accomplish. And, of course, there is more around the corner. What it is, well, again, what you'll have to wait a little bit to see. But mark my words, eRacr, this is just the beginning, folks. We are not going away. There is more to come in terms of events and a lot more being planned behind the scenes. And I know as much as a broadcaster or as a driver, I'm very much looking forward to that. So make sure you go follow us on all of those social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Give us a like. you will want to be tuned in for what is coming in store, because for eRacer, again, like I just said, this is only the beginning. So for everybody here on our broadcast crew, for our producers, Zach Johnson and Joshua Lee tonight, for Justin Prince down on pit road, and for Josh Mendoza and Sean Butler, my name, and you know what, I'll even throw AJ Henderson in there doing socials for us tonight. My name is Blake McCandless. Thank you so much for tuning in for these past 6 weeks. And again, we will be back very, very soon here on eRacer.